now going to get started very shortly with the heat races. So the next race up will be Heat A for DRS62, starting in 4 minutes' time. Sherry Ann Powell in cart number 76, and the number 9 of Jamie Scott set to start from the front row of this one. 8 minutes plus 1 lap, due to get underway very, very shortly. Once again, please join us on the Daniel Ricciardo Series Facebook page, the Daniel Ricciardo Series YouTube channel, also courtesy of our Alpha Live timing partners on Facebook, YouTube, and alphalive.co.uk. Heat A in DRS62 coming up very shortly. There are your contenders on screen. Sherry Ann Powell set to start from pole position in cart number 76. The number 9 cart of Jamie Scott set to start on the outside of row number 1. And look at that in the background there. Just 4th place. That's number 104, Finley Watson. Just getting a handshake and a well done and a good luck from Archie Heron, your championship leader at the moment. Heron, of course, who had a problem in his time qualifying session. But still, that is great, great sportsmanship, which is the kind of sportsmanship and camaraderie you find here in the Daniel Ricciardo Series paddock. And even though Heron and Scott are battling wheel to wheel, Heron, Scott, and Watson, rather, are battling wheel to wheel for a championship. The young drivers still give themselves high fives, good lucks. And again, still wet tyres, the order of the day. You can see Powell and Jamie Scott on row 1. Lucius McDermott in cart number 91 on the inside of row 2. On the outside of row 2, number 104, Finley Watson. Watson second in the championship coming into today. Row 3, you can see the number 24 cart of Freddie Cox. And the engine start signal has been given. Very shortly, we'll be heading out onto the circuit for the rolling lap. 8 minutes plus 1 lap of DRS62 Heat A action up and coming. The starting grid as follows. Pole position, driver number 76, Sherry Ann Powell. Alongside Sherry on the front row of the grid, number 9, Jamie Scott. Row 2, Lucius McDermott in cart number 91 and Finley Watson in cart 104. Row 3 is Freddie Cox in cart 24 and Aaron Mensah in cart 106. While on the 4th row of the grid, it's Thomas Spearing in cart 124 and Ewan Scott in cart 92. Rounding out the top 10 will be Archie Pitts-Drake in cart 119 and Jasmine Taylor in cart 84. Row 6 will be number 122, Adam Bourne, and newcomer to the championship, number 127, Harry Bargle. Rounding out the field on row number 7, number 116, Owen Keenan, and number 118, Oliver Harrison. Second rolling lap underway now. You can see Andy Cox there on the left-hand side of your screen, giving the driver the signal, saying one more time around. Still blue skies overhead. Still wet tyres, order of the day. Now, Watson will have to try and regain some of those lost positions. He's got to score maximum points now to keep the pressure on Aidan Hassan, Archie Heron, and Jamie Gurney. Hassan in Group B, we'll see next. He scored very well indeed. His 3 title rivals, Watson the only one of them in this race, did not score as well as possible, as well as they wanted to in qualifying. But now we're into race conditions. On a slippery track, 900 meters, 7 corners. Great racing, almost guaranteed. Sherry-Ann Powell leads the field out of turn number 7. They come into the tram lines, and it'll be lights out, off and racing. It's a good start from Ann Powell. Lucius McDermott tries to slide at the inside, going into second position, but no. On the outside, it's number 9, Jamie Scott, who holds on. Everybody cleanly through turn number 1 and turn number 2. And now, down towards the hard braking zone at turn number 3, led by Sherry-Ann Powell. Once again, Lucius McDermott to the inside for second place. Does he make the move stick? Not quite. On the outside, Jamie Scott hangs on. Powell still leads. Into turn number 4 now. Finley Watson in kart number 104. Still there in 4th place, and a good clean start from all 14 runners through the S's now, and hard on the brakes for turn number 7. Scott looking aggressive behind Sherry-Ann Powell, but as they come out of turn number 7, it is Scott who's under pressure as Finley Watson looks to the inside for P2. 104, Finley Watson takes second place. McDermott into 4th position now from 3rd on the grid, looking to the inside of Scott, but Scott holds on. Down out of turn number 2 towards turn 3 we go on lap number 2. Watson now tries to close the gap on the race leader, but he has got Jamie Scott right behind him. They're 3 wide behind, and that is Freddie Cox on the outside of Lucius McDermott on the run down towards turn number 4, and Cox leaves the door open. I think that may be Aaron Mensah in kart 106 trying to get at the inside of Scott Cox, but he can't quite do it. Behind him, Ewan Scott, the number 92, runs 7th, and there's a change for the lead. Finley Watson dives at the inside of Sherry-Ann Powell going into turn number 7, and Powell gets a good run off the final corner, but Powell has to slot back into second position as Scott runs 3rd, McDermott 4th, then it's Cox, Mensah, Ewan Scott in 7th, spearing up into 8th place, then it's Pitts, Drake, Bartle, Taylor, Bourne, Harrison and Keenan. Top 4 nose to tail, led by Finley Watson into turn number 3. Jamie Scott now goes past Sherry-Ann Powell for second place, and McDermott and Powell alongside each other for 3rd. Powell comes across to take that line, and Sherry-Ann Powell trying to go around the outside of Jamie Scott going into turn number 4, but she will have to fall back into line. Now maybe Sherry-Ann Powell can get a good run out of turn number 4 through the turn 5, the turn 6 S's, hard on the brakes for turn number 7. Takes a tighter line into the corner to Sherry-Ann Powell in kart number 76. She gets a good run on Jamie Scott coming onto the main straight. It's Scott on the outside. Powell to the inside, and Sherry-Ann Powell retakes P2 going into turn number 1. But this is giving race leader Finley Watson a great advantage, and now McDermott tries to capitalise on the situation by taking 3rd place away from Jamie Scott, but Scott closes the door. Freddie Cox in kart number 24 is right there as well in 5th position, as is Aaron Mensah, and a little bit of a gap back to Ewan Scott, who is holding off Archie Pitts Drake for 7th position. But Finley Watson now with a full second advantage over Sherry-Ann Powell. Powell in the number 76 kart will try and get a bit of clean track now between herself and her pursuers as Jamie Scott battles with Lucius McDermott behind. Sherry-Ann Powell has got the fastest lap of the race, 47.694 for Sherry-Ann Powell. She tries to close in on the race leader, although Finley Watson, a quick lap himself last time around at 47.718. He maintains that 0.8 of a second lead, but he certainly cannot relax one iota. Lucius McDermott finally makes the move on Jamie Scott for 3rd place. Freddie Cox in 5th. We're on lap number 5 now, 4.5 minutes to go. Watson extends his advantage to 1.1 seconds over Ann Powell, who has got McDermott now closing in. Really strong drive from Lucius McDermott. He looks to the inside at turn number 2 for second position and takes the place. Lucius McDermott in kart number 91 moves into P2 at the expense of Sherry-Ann Powell. Now, what can McDermott do? So McDermott and Powell are battling for 8th place in the championship. driver from Haywood, 9 years old, Lucius McDermott in cart number 90 with a green crash helmet. Sherry-Ann Powell slots into third place. Jamie Scott is fourth in cart number 9. Freddie Cox running in fifth with Aaron Mensah in sixth. Ewan Scott is seventh, and a big gap back to Archie Pitts-Drake in eighth, who's got Spearing, Bartle and Taylor behind him. Then it is Bourne with Harrison 13th, and the number 116 of Owen Keenan, newcomer, just fresh out of the academy. He is there in 14th place, a little bit off the pace, but getting lots and lots of vital race experience before a full championship tilt next season. So, 3 minutes plus a lap to go. We're on lap number 7. Lucius McDermott has set the fastest lap of the race, 46.797 seconds. The gap at the start of this lap between himself and Finley Watson was 1.2 seconds. What's it going to be at the end of this one? Well, it's coming down. It is coming down. The gap between the leaders is coming down. Lucius McDermott is closing in on the race leader. 46.824 last time around for McDermott. Watson looks over his shoulder. It was a 47.3 for Watson. Out to turn number 5 we go. Again, we see Watson checking over his shoulder. Sherry-Ann Powell in third place is going with Lucius McDermott. So Sherry-Ann Powell is dropping Jamie Scott, and Jamie Scott in fourth place in cart number 9 is battling away with Freddie Cox and Aaron Mensah. So what can we do this time? Finley Watson does a personal best lap of 46.7, but McDermott does a 46.5. And McDermott, with 90 seconds to go, he has got that rear bumper of the race leader as a great target to aim for. And he's pushing and pushing and pushing as best he can. This is lap number 9 of what is an 8-minute plus 1 lap heat race. So we've got just over a minute to go. We're coming up on... This is further back in the pack. Good scrapping. That's the number 84 cart of Jasmine Taylor, holding off the number 122 of Adam Bourne. That's the battle for 11th position. And they're chasing number 127 of Harry Bartle. So good scrap back in the pack here. Again, bright sunshine. You can almost see that there's no more damp patches on the circuit. There goes Archie Pitts-Drake through your camera. Taylor being chased now by Bourne. Adam Bourne looking for 11th place on Jasmine Taylor coming out of turn number 2. At the moment, well, Finley Watson's had a very good lap, and it's coincided with a bad lap for Lucius McDermott. So, Watson, a 46.500 second lap. His lead is now 1.5 seconds over McDermott, with Ann Powell in third position. And Lucius McDermott crossed the line. You can see Finley Watson's broken away, and Lucius McDermott has got his hands full with the attacking number 76 cart of Sherry-Ann Powell. There goes Ann Powell to the inside of McDermott, going into turn number 2, side by side down the back straight, and Powell takes it. Sherry-Ann Powell into P2. Out of turn 3, Finley Watson, well, if qualifying didn't go too well for him, he has made amends in this, the opening heat race in Group A. What can Lucius McDermott now do to close back in? The clock has struck 0. Last lap board goes out. Finley Watson through turn 1. We're looking at the battle for second place. Powell beginning to defend now into turn number 2. McDermott is right in the wheel tracks. McDermott's going to get a good slipstream down the back straight, but it's very treacherous under braking for turn number 3. Got to be so careful on the brakes. They both skittle round the corner, but McDermott not in a position to attack. He looks to the inside almost to try and distract Sherry-Ann Powell, but Finley Watson comes through the S's. 1 corner to go. The 11-year-old from Dover will come across the line. Checkered flag waves. Finley Watson wins. Second for Sherry-Ann Powell. Great drive for both Sherry-Ann and Lucius McDermott. Fourth place for Jamie Scott. And then Freddie Cox hangs on to fifth, beating Aaron Mensah, with Ewan Scott a fantastic seventh. And here's the great scrap across the line for eighth place. Archie Pitts-Drake and Harry Bartle grabs ninth right at the end there from Tom Spearing. So Thomas Spearing takes 10th out of Jasmine Taylor and Adam Bourne. Oliver Harrison in 11th. Newcomer Owen Keenan, he will come home in 12th place on the lead lap. That is the best that he could hope for on his race debut. But it is a really, really strong run for Finley Watson. So whatever he lost in qualifying, he regains in that first heat. But he had to fight for it. Both Lucius McDermott and Sherry-Ann Powell gave Finley Watson all he could handle as the end of qualifying heat A, the DRS62 class here at Hooton Park in Cheshire. Ellesmere Port. Once again, those clouds have returned, but still directly over the circuit. You can see on our camera shot there the shadows of some of the officials there on the track. That shows that it is bright sunshine directly overhead. Where will those clouds form as we look ahead to the next race?